Today we are going to take a look at drawing our frame guide. Okay, this is what it looks like. Pretty fun part today. If you take a look at the things we're going to be taking care of and looking at is we're going to be learning about sketch geometry. We're going to learn about the trim and extend commands, calculating dimensions, inferred dimensions, and we're going to create some driven dimensions. Okay, now taking a look at our part, you can see that it doesn't give us the overall length. However, it does give us a few radiuses, and it gives us from the center point out to the far end. Okay, so we're going to start off with these two circles here. We're going to create these arcs, and then we're going to take and give the length of the part using our sketching geometry. To begin this frame guide, I would suggest having this PDF up and available for you to view as well. From our ribbon bar at the top, we're going to select a new standard IPT and click Create. Once Inventor loads up, we're going to start with a 2D sketch, this drawing and green plus mark on the left hand side. And as always, we're going to click on our XY plane, and we're going to select front in our world view cube. Okay. Now for those two circles, let's take a look at them. It gives me a radius for this inside circular arc of 1.13. So I can start off with a circle, start at my origin, bring this out. However, if you look at this dimension, you see how it's given me a diameter. So there's no way for me to enter in a radius. I need to enter in a diameter. And that dimension was 1.13. So there's a couple of things we can do, some tips and tricks on that. Let's start with our circle again. The radius is 1.13. So those are pretty simple numbers. I can take and just double them to get my diameter, 2.26. Okay, 1.13 doubled to get a diameter, 2.26. Enter on the keyboard. The other one that's on here, if you take a look at, is 1.75. That might be a little difficult for us to double, so let's take a look at how to do that and use the computer to do that. Starting at the same origin again, we're going to stretch this one out. Now we do know the radius, 1.75. And we know that a radius is half of a diameter. So if we have the radius, we have to times 2 to get the diameter. In order to do times 2, I have the radius typed in, 1.75. I'm doing times, which is the asterisk. That's shift and 8. And then I'm going to enter in 2. So right now I wrote a formula, 1.75, asterisk or times, and then 2. Enter on the keyboard. Okay, and it put it in there for us. Now let's take a look back at our drawing. We're going to use our line tool now in order to sketch out a horizontal, vertical, and this basic kind of L shape. And then we're going to come back and dimension what these dimensions are. So to do that, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to use my line tool, starting at my origin. I'm going to come out to the right. For right now, I'm not going to worry about the length or the size. I'm just going to come out to the right. I'm going to go straight up, and you see that little gray box that pops up when I'm perfectly vertical. I want to make sure that that is there, that constraint snap. Come over. I got that little gray box again to make sure that I'm 90 degrees. I'm going to come down. And if at any time we lose our line tool, it's not a big deal. We don't have to do it over. We can come back, snap onto the end point with the green dot, come down, make sure I'm perfectly straight with that horizontal snap, and then come straight over again, make sure we're straight, and click to place it. Okay, now we have a few dimensions we need to put on here. Each one of the heights here is 0.63. I can see that by looking at my drawing here and up here, and I know that the overall height of this is 2.25. and the width from the origin out to the side is 3.5. So let's enter in those dimensions. To do that, we're going to come up and we're going to place a dimension. I want a dimension from the origin out to the side, so I'm going to click my bottom line. I'm going to bring this down. And this dimension is once again, dimension. I'm going to click on my origin when it turns red to this corner out here. Bring that dimension down. And this dimension is 3.5. Enter on the keyboard or green check mark. I have a height for this line over here. When it turns red, bring it out. 2.25 is that dimension. Green check mark or enter on the keyboard. And now I have the thickness of this. So I'm going to get my thickness from right to left of that L shape. And this is 0.63. Green check marker, enter on the keyboard. And then from this line to there is also 0.63. Enter on the keyboard or green check mark. Okay, we're off to a good start. Press the escape key and that's going to let go of my dimension tool. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at trimming and extending. The first thing that I want to do, if I bring my cursor up here, you can see how this bottom line here only goes to the center. I want it to shoot all the way across to this outside circle so I can trim off the bottom of this. So we're going to extend first. Right here is my extend command. This is something new for us. And what I want to do is put my cursor on that bottom line once I have my extend. And you see how it automatically shoots out a little tag line. I'm going to extend it and extend again so that gets all the way out to the edge. And now I'm going to come up and trim out all the things that I don't want. I'm going to get rid of the bottom of the circle, the inside between the two circles, and these little lines in here. Once you have that all trimmed up, then we're going to take and finish sketch, go home, and now we're going to take and extrude this whole part. So we're going to go up to our create menu, go to extrude. We're going to extrude, as always, direction 2, flip direction, and I want to take and enter in a distance. Let's take a look at my drawing again. If I take a look at my drawing, I can see this distance from front to back is 2.5. Going back to my drawing, I'm going to enter in a distance, 2.5, enter on the keyboard. Click OK. Now I have my basic shape and that looks really good. Next, we're going to take a look at creating this slot in the front up here on the right side. Okay? It is 0.63. 0.75 down from the top, 1.25 in from the side, and this is 0.63, the slot is wide. However, it starts with a circle down here. So what is the diameter of that circle? A little bit of inferred dimensions. If this rectangle is 0.63, that means that the diameter of this circle is also 0.63. So let's take a look at creating this. I'm going to take my 2D sketch, place it on my right side view. When it highlights red, click. And here I'm going to start with a circle. I'm going to draw a circle now. As I go, I don't want to lock on to any lines. I want to kind of, oh, no lines. I want to just kind of make sure that I'm sort of in the middle and stretch out a circle. This dimension is 0.63. Once you have that entered in, press enter on the keyboard. Now we need to locate the position of this circle. To do that, we're going to use our dimension tool. We're going to dimension from the center point of this circle to the top line. And this dimension is 0.75, green check mark. I'm also going to dimension from the center point of the circle to the left-hand side. This dimension is 1.25, green check mark. Now we have it positioned. Now, if we take a look at our drawing again, you can see that in order to get this slot to go up, We could do a couple of lines, or we could do a rectangle. Let's show you how to do it with a rectangle, and we can infer some of the instances on it. Zoom in a second. I'm going to use my rectangle tool. I'm going to bring my rectangle tool over to the left-hand side of that circle, and you see how it kind of snaps on to the 9 o'clock position. If that circle was a clock, it snaps onto that 9 o'clock position. I'm going to take and click, and I'm going to stretch out a rectangle. And here, I want it to touch the top line and the 3 o'clock position on that circle below. Once you're touching both of those, click, and now we're going to come up and we're going to trim again. We're going to trim top of the circle and the bottom part of the rectangle, and now we have our slot. Let's extrude it. Green check mark. We're going to extrude. If it doesn't automatically select that slot that we drew, you might have to click that. We're going to extrude, and we want to extrude to cut. And now do you see how it's going all the way through, plus it's a little bit more? So we're going to change our distance. Instead of 1 inch, we're going to go over, not through all, we're going to go 2. If you go through all, it's going to go through the entire part. So we want to go 2 dimension. And we're going to pick a face. I'm going to rotate this around. And I'm going to click the back of that piece. So it's only going to go to whatever that thickness is. Click OK. That looks awesome. And then go home. Next, taking a look at our drawing, we have this hole that's in the side. Okay, so we're going to place that next. And if you take a look at that hole, whether it's in our isometric view or in my multi-view drawing, that hole only goes through this first leg that comes up. Okay, see, it only goes through the first leg. So we want to do another one of those 2 instances. Going back to our part, we're going to take a 2D sketch, place it on your front view. We're going to place a point, and we're going to dimension this point according to the directions that are on the drawing. The center of that point is 0.31 in from the front and 0.5 down from the top. So let's place those dimensions. Dimension from my front to the point. This is 0.31. Green check mark. Dimension from the top to the point. 0.5. Green check mark. Now we're going to finish sketch. Let's check out the size of that hole. So we take a look at this. This hole is 0.38, and it does give us a distance of 0.94 for the depth, but we're going to use that other feature too. So 0.38 is the diameter. So now I'm going to use my hole tool. Okay, and you can see it automatically selects that, but it's going all the way through. So we're going to have a simple hole with no seat. The termination distance we're going to change to next, or to surface. So now I'm going to rotate this around so that I see the inside of that surface. Once it highlights, click it. And then my diameter is going to be 0.38. So a couple things that we did here. We have our simple hole. We have none for our seat. We have 2 selected, and we click this back surface. And our diameter is 0.38. Click OK. And now that hole goes through that first leg, and when I go home, you can see that it doesn't go any further than that. Nice. Now let's take a look at our top view. We have 2 holes that are up here. They're 1.25 in from the front. The 2 holes are 0.38 in diameter. And it shows that we need to create a driven dimension divided by 3. So we're going to show you how to locate these and drive dimensions. We're going to take a 2D sketch, place it on this view on the top right here. I'm going to center it on my page a little bit better. There we go. I'm going to use my point tool. I'm going to place 2 points in here. I'm going to dimension them from the front of my block on the right hand side to the point. This dimension here is 1.25. Green check mark. We've got to do the same thing for the other dimension. From the right side of the block to the point, 1.25. Okay, now we need to locate how far it is in from each side. In order to do that, we're going to create a driven dimension, where one dimension is dependent upon the other. So first, we're going to do a driven dimension, a dimension tool. I'm going to take the top left-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner, bring this out. And this is going to give me a little menu here that says, adding this dimension will over-constrain the sketch. Now, always, 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 if you ever see one of these, you always, always press cancel. However, we are going to intentionally borrow it, so we're going to click accept. If you don't know why you're clicking accept, you should never click accept and always click cancel. We're going to borrow this dimension. Now I'm going to dimension from the top of my block to that first point, bring this over. And let's think about what I want. I want the overall dimension. So overall dimension is this dimension that's in parentheses. Inventor puts it in as D25 for me because that's the 25th dimension that I put in. And then I'm going to do a backslash, which is divide, and I'm going to divide by 3. So all right again. And the computer does everything for you to center it properly. Let me undo that and we'll do it again together. So I'm doing dimension tool. I'm dimensioning from the top of my block to the top point. Bring this out. And what do I want in here? I want the overall dimension with this dimension that's in parentheses. And I'm going to divide by 3. Divide is backslash and then 3 because there's going to be 3 equal parts when we're done. Green check mark. Hey, great job. We're going to dimension again, do the same thing to the bottom. Go from the bottom of the block to that bottom point, bring that out. And I want that same dimension again. I want the overall dimension, this dimension in parentheses, just click it. And I'm going to divide, which is backslash, and then 3. Green check mark. First driven dimensions. Nice job. I'm going to go home. Now those holes are hidden when I'm at home, so I'm going to swing around to that front left corner so I can see the holes come in. I'm going to green check mark finish sketch. I'm going to use my hole tool. Now it should automatically pick up both of those points. Even though it's not showing it, I can see right here in my position that I have 2 points selected, right? So that point there and this point here says 2 points selected, so we're in good shape. I want this to be a simple hole. Seat is none. And here I am going to change this from 2. Instead of distance, I'm going to use this one that is through all. So basically I'm telling the computer, I don't care how thick it is, I want these holes to go all the way through. The diameter, we're going to enter in as 0.38. And once you have those selected, simple hole, no seat, through all, default, and 0.38 for the diameter, click OK. Let's go home now. That looks pretty awesome. Great job. Now we're going to go up to the top. We're going to change our material type from default. And we're going to go down and we're going to find a purple. Smooth purple. You got to scroll down until you get to S's. Smooth purple is what we're going to make it. That looks great. Now let's save this. Go up to the orange file in the top left-hand corner. Let's go down to Save As. We're going to put this into our H drive. Once again, your H drive is first initial last name 000 all the way down here at the bottom. It has the gray box and the green line underneath of it. Click Save. and it's going to save your part. Remember, we're calling this one a frame guide for our drawing. Once you're finished with that, we're going to move on to the next one, which is creating an IDW, a drawing of it to turn into Google Classroom. Nice job.